5 minutes, everybody else comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a time.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja
Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the Assam of the world. All glories to the Assam of the world. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. So who would like to summarize Bhagavad Gita, the first two chapters? Last time we ended with the end of the second chapter. Would anybody like to? So then I will do it. The beginning is Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya what happened after everyone assembled at Kurukshetra to fight. My sons and the sons of Mandu. Dhritarashtra and Mandu were brothers, but the cousin brothers were ready to fight with each other who will get control of the kingdom. So Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, although he promised not to take any weapon. He became the chariot driver of Arjuna. And in the very beginning, Arjuna asked Krishna, please place the chariot in between the two armies so I can see who has come here to fight with me. So Arjuna saw on the other side his gurus, teachers. He saw his grandfather, Bhishma. He saw his cousin brothers and many other relatives. He became overwhelmed with feelings of compassion. And he thought, I cannot fight. Tears were coming from his eyes. Blood was slipping from his hand. He thought, I cannot kill these people. And he gave some good reasons why not to kill them. So many heads of family will be killed, and the rest of the family will become they will come to be irreligious, give up their religious practices, and take to irreligious practices. Women will no longer be chaste, their husbands will be killed, there will be unwanted children. In this way, society will become chaotic. And also, with my guru, my teacher, and my grandfather, whether I give them a garland of flowers. But Arjuna, it was his duty to fight, and Krishna was urging him to fight. But his feeling was, I cannot fight, therefore he was in a dilemma what to do. But finally he said, Krishna, I'm confused about what to do. I've lost all my composure. He was very upset. Naturally, when you are composed, clear-headed, and undisturbed by emotions, then your intelligence can make a clear decision. But when you're all upset, angry, or frustrated, or sad, or worried, then your intelligence doesn't work properly. So he told Krishna, I have lost all my composure due to this weakness, so I don't know what to do. He surrendered to Krishna. I want to be your disciple. I want to accept you as my guru, my teacher. Now please instruct me. So Arjuna, previously he was in a relationship of friendship with Krishna. Friendship means equals. But he understood that Krishna is in a superior position. So at the time of crisis, he surrendered to Krishna and gave up friendly relations, put himself in a subordinate position. Now please instruct me. I don't know how to get out of my difficult position. So I'm surrendering unto you. You please instruct me. So Krishna, first of all, chastised Arjuna that we're speaking like a great scholar, giving many reasons why not to fight. But you should know that those who are actually learned do not lament for any condition of the body, living or dead. Actually, no one is going to die because everyone here is eternal, without a beginning and without an end. But just like we see in this lifetime, we have a small child's body, then a young, youthful body, then a middle-aged body, then an older body. In this way, we are changing bodies from childhood to youth and old age. Similarly, when the body is finished, we just change to another body. Those who are dhira or sober-minded, they're not disturbed by these changes. So then Krishna, from many angles of vision, in many ways, Krishna explained the nature of the self as distinct from the body. It's only the body which is born and dies. the self or soul, Atma, is eternal, is never born and never dies. The Atma cannot be burnt, cannot be killed, cannot be affected by any material condition. Those who are wise, Krishna told Arjuna, know that when you are supposedly killing your enemy, you're not actually killing the person, you're just changing the dress. So just as the dress becomes old, then you discard it and put on a new one. In the same way, our body becomes old and useful, we have to give it up and accept another one. So in this way, Krishna explained the nature of the self as distinct from the body and distinct from matter. Then he told Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, you have your duty to fight. There's a social system at this time, social system which had been practiced since time immemorial, called Varnashram Dharma. There are 4 Varnas, Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or intellectual class, ruling and military class, mercantile class, and labor class. So Arjuna was a military man. He had his specific duties. His duty was to fight. Krishna explained if you avoid your duty, then that will be sinful. Arjuna is telling Krishna that if I kill my superiors and all these other people, that will be very sinful. I will have to go to hell. So this was commonly understood in previous ages, that every action we perform gives a result. That it is not that this is our only life, therefore this is the only one time around, therefore do whatever you want, that everything is finished. No. It was commonly understood that whatever actions I do in this life is preparing my next body within my mind, within the subtle body. Because at the time of death, the subtle body, the mind, carries us for the next life. And the condition of the mind that we have created in our activities in this life, that will determine what kind of body we get next. So, Srila Prabhupada always emphasized that human intelligence means to understand, first of all, that I am not the body, and that death of the body is not that everything is finished. I will go on, and human intelligence means to inquire what kind of body I will get next. After all, we see so many varieties of bodies. Even in human society, there's such variety. Some are very nicely situated. Some are situated in a very miserable condition. And the human body are not the only form of bodies. There's many other forms of bodies, animals, plants, insects, fish. So a human intelligence inquires what kind of body I can get. So Arjuna was thinking that if I kill all these people, that will be sinful. My next existence will be in a hellish condition. We see that even on the earth, there are different statuses. Some people are living almost like in heaven. They have a lot of money, their house is beautiful. They snap their fingers and 10 servers come. Some people are living almost a hellish life. It's like CNN likes to highlight all the worst things about India. So there was a thing that they repeatedly brought out that in Bombay, how they call it, Mumbai, a beggar lady was living on the street, and she had a small child. She would go out to beg, so the child was very small. She chained it to a bus stop, so the small child would not wander into the street and get killed. So that's a hellish condition of life, even on this earth, even in this life. But BhagavadGita and others, Shastra explain that besides this planet, there are whole planets where the existence is very high, and there are lower planets where the existence is very miserable. So, after the death of this body, we may be born again on the earth, or we may be born in a higher existence, or we may be born in a lower existence, all depending upon our activities, which is called karma. So Arjuna is thinking, by killing all these people, this will be a very low activity in my next life. I'm going to suffer in a low kind of existence, or suffer in hell. But Krishna now is telling Arjuna, no, if you don't perform your duty, then that will be sinful or bad karma. Besides that, people will laugh at you. Oh, you were supposed to be such a great hero. Now you have run away from a battle like a coward. So, in the second chapter, verse 39, Krishna tells Arjuna, thus far I have described to you Samkhya. So Samkhya means the analytical study of nature for the purpose of understanding the soul or self to be distinct from the body, from the mind. It is the analytical study which separates the self or frees the self from identification with matter. And he said, thus far I have described Samkhya, now I'm going to describe the yoga. I'm going to describe yoga. So the basic meaning of yoga is linking with the Supreme. And buddhi means intelligence. So the yoga means that how, by the use of one's intelligence, one can stay away from activities or the consciousness that keeps us bound to material existence and engage in those activities which will elevate us ultimately to be supreme, to be yoga. So then Krishna goes on to explain yoga in various ways, but the basic idea is that the yogi, he is a master of the senses. He is a controller of sensual activities. He controls the senses, keeping them away from material activities, and just engaging his senses in the transcendental activities of yoga for Krishna consciousness. So, mostly in the second chapter, there is a negative description of the yogi or transcendentalist. There's always a negative and positive side. Don't do this, do this. So basically, Krishna's explaining that one who is endeavoring to come to the light or to reality, they don't degrade themselves by absorption in bodily or sensual consciousness. In the Vedic literature, there is repeatedly aphorism like Tamasi ma jyotir dhamma. Get out of the darkness and go to the light. Or get out of this illusion or ignorance and come to the reality. So this will be explained from Bhagavad Gita that what we see here, this is not ultimate reality. This is kind of an illusion. It's like we're all sitting here. We're thinking that this body is ourself. We're thinking that this world is factual. But the truth is, this body will not remain. And even this world will not remain. There is another world that is permanent. In this world there is creation, maintenance, and destruction. But there is another world which is permanent. So we are now living in a changing world. We're accepting things that are not permanent. We are permanent. We're accepting a body that is temporary. And through our bodily senses, we're viewing a world which is also temporary in its manifestations. So yoga means to get out of the absorption in the temporary and absorb oneself in the permanent. And Krishna will describe that permanent ultimately means God or Krishna is the fountainhead of all permanence. So Krishna explains that when we are servants of the senses and not masters of the senses, then we're on an animal platform of existence. Just like imagine a dog. A dog is sniffing here and there, where's food? He is also an eternal living entity. But in animal life, one is simply a servant of the senses. The nose is one sense. The tongue is another sense. So animal life just means mind and senses. Senses want this or mind wants this, and I go here, I go there, I go there. But yoga means to control the senses and fix the senses and mind on the supreme. So just look at text 53. Krishna says, when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Who remembers what is the flowery words of the Vedas? We discussed.
So, talking about actually the demigods go through the flowery language of the Vedas.
Yes. The animal life or an uncivilized life, there is no higher direction. One just simply works hard, earn money, and then enjoy the body and senses. But in civilized life, there is direction from revealed scripture or shastra, how to act better than the animal platform. So the Vedas generally describe elevation to a higher material position, because in this world everyone is materialistic. Practically no one is ready to give up their material position. Material position essentially means I want to enjoy. I am the center and I want to enjoy what I like, I want to do. The real truth is that we are servants of God, or God is the predominator, we are subordinates. Whatever God wants, we are to do. That is the actual reality. But in darkness or ignorance or illusion, where we are now placed, we have the mentality which is called false ego, that I want to do for myself. What I want to do for me. So the Vedas mostly deal, because the Vedas are for all classes of people, and since most people, 99.999, are very, very much materialistic or the bodily conception of life, the Vedas say, oh, all right, but come to a better material condition. There are higher planets called heavenly planets, or svarga, where you can enjoy in a much, much higher platform. You can have a long duration of life. You can be free almost completely from all kinds of miseries. You can enjoy tremendous wealth and tremendous sensual enjoyment. Because when one comes to the higher platform, BhagavadGita will explain much later in detail, that there's, in this world is being conducted by three gunas, or three modes of material nature. Sattva guna, or the mode of goodness, Raja guna, or the mode of passion, and Tama guna, the mode of ignorance. So we can understand these gunas or modes by their characteristics, and that's explained in Gita. Sattva guna is characterized by very peaceful mind, searching for knowledge, and detachment from all kinds of abominable activities, control of the mind, control of the senses. So that is Sattva guna. Raja guna is activity. Sattva guna is contemplative. What is my life really? What is going on here? How can I improve myself? These questions cannot be deeply contemplated, you're madly running here and there. But that is Raja guna. Work hard, get more. Come up in society. And Tama guna is, that is all useless, all hopeless. Just drink something, intoxication, watch television, go to the clubs, and sleep. Demotivated. So much of the Vedas is to elevate from Tama guna to Raja guna, and Raja guna to Sattva guna. Because in Sattva guna, one can understand what is really going on and then see that there is a higher position. Because these heaven, earth, and hell, Sattva, Raja, Tama, they're all within the material universe. They will all end one day. Even Krishna will explain that if you go to the topmost planets, there will be birth and death. If you go to the heavenly planets, you'll still have to come back. It's not a permanent solution. Therefore, Krishna said in this second chapter, Vaidunya Vishaya Veda, Is Vaidunya Bhavarta. The Vedas mostly deal with elevation to a higher heavenly platform. But Arjuna, you should become transcendental or above all this. So the flowery words of the Vedas, just like a tree is very beautiful when there's many flowers, your eye immediately is attracted. So the flowery words of the Vedas are the consciousness you go to that. There you can live a long time, you can enjoy the apsaras, heavenly girls, and you can so many things. You can drink these samaras. These are all flowers on the tree of the Vedas to attract people. But those who are better situated or who want to follow the ultimate instruction, don't be attracted by that, go beyond that, above all the material conditions to the spiritual platform. So in 53, Krishna said, when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. So Arjuna asked, oh Krishna, what are the symptoms of those whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? So we know, everyone knows in all cultures there are great saintly persons, saints, or in India, rishis, yogis, that somehow they're able to find a greater happiness within, or connect with a greater reality, so that they don't care for the materialistic life. So their characteristic positively is they are experiencing some greater life within. And negatively, they are detached or disinterested in the temporary existences without. So, in reply, Krishna mostly speaks about the negative aspect. The Supreme, in 55, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, means Arjuna, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, sense gratification means I have senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch, and working senses, the tongue, belly, genitals. So when I give up, when someone gives up all desires for gratification of these senses, which arise from mental concoction, oh, I'd like to do this, oh, this would be nice, mental concoction. And when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So in text 59 is a very interesting verse. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So someone may try to practice meditation and yoga, go to a secluded place and just try to meditate and forget about the external world. But it is pointed out here that without having experienced a higher taste, although one may try to restrict himself within, that same taste will surface again. Oh, money, movies, whatever. But if you have a higher taste, then only you can give up these lower tastes. So we'll see that BhagavadGita after all, can be understood most easily. In the beginning, Krishna told Arjuna, fight. Arjuna said, no. So here there's going to be so much philosophy, so many descriptions of levels of yoga or types of yoga. But looking at the whole thing in the most general way, in the beginning, Krishna said, fight. Arjuna said, no. And then Krishna instructs him, what's the ultimate purpose? In the end, Krishna says, fight. Arjuna says, yes. So ultimately, that's the purpose of BhagavadGita. That whatever Krishna wants or God wants, we say yes. And anything else, we say no. So that's hinted at in text 61. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. So it is, the yoga system is described in the second chapter as Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi means intelligence. And it is explained that above dull matter are the senses. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence. And above intelligence is the soul, or yourself. So what is intelligence? Intelligence is the power of discrimination. Mind has no discrimination. Oh, that looks good. Tasty. Oh, that looks tasty. That looks tasty. Oh, she looks beautiful. He looks handsome. Mind just has acceptance and rejection. The mind likes something, likes something, then rejects it. The mind may accept something, one day reject that same thing after a few days. Boy and girl meet, boy and girl, oh, I accept, mind thinks I accept, and after a few days, great, I reject. So above the mind is the intelligence. Intelligence is the discriminant power of discrimination. Discrimination means, yes, that is the right thing. No, that is not the right thing. It's attractive to my mind, but no. So a very simple example given to distinguish mind from intelligence. Go to a tall building on the roof and you look down, or you go on a cliff and you look down. Your mind might say, jump, jump. Turn cautious and say, are you crazy? If I jump, I'll die. So Buddhi Yoga means the intelligence, don't engage mind and senses in material sense gratification, but engage them in the process of yoga or Krishna consciousness. Always keep your mind and senses and in that. So at the end of the second chapter, Krishna says, this is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. So there is a kingdom of God, where there is no birth and no death. Human life is to awaken the desire to go there and not remain caught in the cycle of repeated birth and death. So now we begin the third chapter. So Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Kesava, these are names of Krishna. Why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So Arjuna is still thinking that fighting is sinful or bad. And Krishna has described so much, don't engage your senses in sense gratification. Don't engage your mind and senses in the material world. So Arjuna is confused. The second chapter is described as the contents of the Gita summarized. It's like a summary of the whole Gita, a little bit of this, that, not presented in a systematic way. So Arjuna is confused that on the one hand you're telling me to renounce, and then on the other hand you're telling me to fight. It's confusing. So Prabhupada explains that Arjuna actually is very cleverly trying to use these as another excuse not to fight. That generally the conception of spiritual life is you go away from the materialistic life. You go away to the mountains, the Himalayas, or the holy place, and you sit down in meditation and perform austerities in order to realize the eternal self within, or to realize God within. So this is a general misconception that spiritual life means to give up all activities. So Arjuna is saying, I'm confused. On the one hand, you're telling me to give up activities. On the other hand, you're telling me to fight. So now tell me clearly. This is third chapter, 1 and 2. So what we will see in this third chapter is that spiritual life doesn't mean no activities. It just means proper kind of activities. So number 3, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are 2 classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others by emotional service. Not merely by abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from the action, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So this is refuting Arjuna's idea that inaction is the path of spirituality. Saying there's no question of inaction. Actually, the soul, or we are by nature active. And this we can practically see that at the time of death, we are out of the body, but the body has no more activity. It's not actually the body which is active, or nature which is active. It is the living force which is active. 6. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself, and is called a pretender. Same example, that someone may think, okay, I'll go away to secluded place, I'll practice meditation, and make my mind empty. But still, he'll think, it'd be nice to have that, I want this. Such a person is called a pretender. Krishna says, on the other hand, if If a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness, without attachment, he is by far superior. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in this way you will always remain free from bondage. So we will stop there, but just say a few things about these. Krishna is telling Arjuna that your duty is prescribed by the Vedas in the social system called Varna Ashram. And to perform your duty in this way, this is better than remaining inactive. So it will be explained in the following verses, and we will cover that next week. That in the beginning of creation, God created man and what are called demigods, or rulers of this material manifestation. And he also created sacrifices for men to perform to these demigods. In this way, men and demigods will be satisfied and there will be prosperity. So this is you could say, an inferior or materialistic system created by God for a gradual elevation of man. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that if you act in this way, that is far superior to not performing your duty. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna on different levels. Now he's speaking on this most fundamental level. So Vishnu is a name for one of Krishna's expansions. Vishnu is not different from Krishna, but for creating the material world, Krishna expands himself as Vishnu. Krishna himself doesn't deal with this material manifestation, because he has his own life elsewhere, you could say, in his own mode. For this inferior existence, he expands himself in another form. So Krishna is saying, work must be done for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Otherwise, the work will bind one to this material world. So this is an introduction to the idea of bhakti, or devotional service to the Lord. That work must be done in relation to or for the satisfaction of the Lord. If one works in that way, there's no karmic reaction. Otherwise, if one works, whether in goodness, passion, and ignorance, there will be some reaction which will bind one to remain further in the material world. So Arjuna was asking in the beginning, you're telling me to renounce materialistic life, at the same time you're asking me to fight. Seemed to Arjuna like a contradiction. But now Krishna is explaining work must be done for the satisfaction of Vishnu, or in other words, for my satisfaction. I'm telling you to fight. Therefore, if you fight in my direction, there's no sin or no karma. Do you have any questions?
How is Krishna and Vishnu on
Krishna is not Vishnu avatar. There are many persons who believe that, or there may be some references in the Vedic literatures that lead one to believe that. But the superior Shastra explains that Vishnu is an expansion of Krishna. And that's what we explained in the BhagavadGita also.
And your point earlier, is that the reason why present God is called a Maya Samsara? Is that your point earlier? Is that the reason God is called Maya Samsara? And that is Maya only. Like, point is that, is this the material world is full of Maya?
Yes.
The whole idea behind this is to elevate oneself out of the Maya world.
Yeah. So you may think that Maya means material world, but Prabhupada explained, actually Maya really means forgetfulness of this. Krishna explained in Bhagavad Gita that this world is also his energy. So Maya doesn't mean actually the material world, it means forget Krishna and think I am the one to be satisfied. That is Maya. So yes, the whole Bhagavad Gita is like Arjuna was thinking in the beginning, I don't want to fight, I will not be happy. I will not be happy. Even if I win, if I kill all of these people, I won't enjoy. You only enjoy when your relatives and friends are there. They'll all be dead and I'll have this big kingdom with no associates, then there's no enjoyment. He was thinking of himself. So yes, that's fine. But at the end, when Arjuna says, now my illusion is gone and my pure consciousness is again there by your mercy, now I'm ready to fight. Then there's no more Maya. Same thing, the same world, the same people, the same activity, but it's the consciousness. For me, that's Maya. For Krishna, that is Maya. So whole Bhagavad Gita is to get rid of that Maya. Me. Of course, we are there, but we are part of Krishna. Later on, Krishna explains, Mamai Vansa Jivaloke Jivalutasana. All living beings are my part and parcel. So as a part, we are meant to serve the whole, which is Krishna. Any other questions?
Today we discussed about demigods several times in so many verses. Like from our childhood, we worship so many demigods. For example, let's say Saraswati or Ganesh and all.
Yeah.
And we always see them in some physical form. So I just want to understand a bit, what exactly is the form of these demigods? Is that the way we are worshipping them from childhood? Or
well, the demigods, the forms of the demigods, they are superior to our forms, but they are material. Not Lord, not Shiva, but all the others. Brahma, Ganesh, Surya, Chandra, Durga, they are actually not Durga, but generally all the demigods, they are same as us. We can also be elevated to a position like Indra, Chandra, whatever. But the thing is, their forms are temporary. When the universe is destroyed, their forms are also destroyed. So therefore, the Vaishnavas, they don't worship, they respect those forms, but they don't worship the forms of the demigods. But just like we explained that Krishna says, when your mind is no longer attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas, so the Vedas mostly contain prescriptions for worship of the demigods, so that we can be elevated to the plans of the demigods. So this is much better than animalistic or atheistic, materialistic life, but it is not on the platform of Krishna consciousness. It's still within the material sphere.
So in that context, the Vedic, the Bhagavad Gita prompts the Vedic literature. Just holding on to that thought, that if Krishna is telling Arjuna that from the flowery language of the Vedas, in other contexts, do not want to. So if you want to go beyond the Vedic, think of me first. So in other words, he's saying, renounce the Vedic literature.
It's not saying renounce the Vedic literature, it's saying renounce the flowery words of the Vedic literature. That within the Vedas, there's also Krishna, Vishnu, and Krishna consciousness, but without the instruction of a proper guru, one cannot ascertain that that is the actual goal because there's so many other things. So there's originally the 4 Vedas, and then these Puranas and Mahabharata, they're called the 5th Veda.
So the ritualistic flowery language of
Basically, I don't understand what is asat and what is sat. What is temporary or not having permanent existence, and what is the actual reality. So all these demigods, they are within the realm of asat, or unreality, or non-permanence. Prabhupada has explained like this, in the 2nd chapter, text, 14 or 15. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady growth is certainly eligible for liberation. In the Sanskrit, so amrita vaya bhavate. Amrita means eternal existence. It says human life is meant for understanding and then cultivating eternal existence, not temporary existence in any form, whether superior or inferior. In the most simple sense is, you don't want to die. Whatever condition we are in, we don't want to give up that position. We don't want to die. We want eternal existence. But even these demigods and their kingdoms, they are still in a temporary existence. Let us explain in BhagavadGita that this whole world it is manifested at some point, remains for some time, and then is dissolved. So that includes the demigods. So we are meant to go to that eternal existence. Yeah, that's good.
Very good. Use verse 9.
Yeah.
It's not clear to me what it's not clear to me what verse 9 is saying.
What's not clear?
Work done is a sacrifice of Vishnu. Work performed as a sacrifice. Like if someone someone's at a certain level of this kind of work they have. They have work, literally in the workplace, they have work, they have family, whatever. All
time and previously, the Dharma was fully implemented. And
the new ordinance was written.
yes, so Arjuna's a Kshatriya. So in the Shastra, there's so many descriptions exactly what a Brahman must do or Kshatriya must do. These are all given by Shastra, which is given by Vishnu or Krishna. So if one follows his duty, performs his duty nicely in the Varnashram system, then that is sacrifice for Vishnu.
What is the Varnashram mean? In our society?
Well, our society means we are not following the Varnashram system.
So how do we do that in our current accounting?
Well, therefore, I'll describe that fast is just perform your activities for Krishna. So he explained like this. Suppose you have understood BhagavadGita, you have listened to Dharma, but you're living outside the temple, you have a job, and maybe in a factory or anywhere. So then how can you be in this consciousness? Well, one thing Prabhupada said is that even if you work in a factory, you can be chanting Hare Krishna. That's just you can be chanting Hare Krishna. But more basically, he said that every family should have a temple in their house. Family members should get together morning and evening, chant Hare Krishna, worship the popular food Krishna. So, and Prabhupada also said the married people, because generally living outside means a man with family, should give 50% of their earnings for studying Krishna consciousness. So in this way, one actually follow this, he may be working, but he may be thinking, I'm working, I'm earning because I'm going to give, because it's home, I want nice food, we will be chanting. In this way, his mind can be Krishna consciousness, and that word is for the as a sacrifice. Very difficult to be implemented, but that was at least theoretically how it's explained. Of course, it's much easier to make a temple, and whatever activities you perform are directly sacrifice, not for yourself, it's for the temple. But even outside it is possible.
That was the order of the day when that was the order of the day when this was.
Yes.
And just to put it in time perspective, how long ago?
Well, it said BhagavadGita was spoken about 5,000 years ago, just before the beginning of Kali. That's the age. I mean, ultimately, the goal is in your mind, you're always thinking of Krishna or something in relation to Krishna, Hare Krishna, and your intelligence, you understand that kind of consciousness is pure and eternal. And if I forget that, I just become absorbed in worldly affairs, and I am just on the low platform, so that you remain in that way. And the minds of great devotees by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, especially you can see, you can see how elevated devotees they were in that kind of consciousness. They may be going here and there doing something something in this. Of course, it's easy to argue because this is right there. Or easier in the capital because it is right there. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you.